Hello everyone, I'm your host T the J Gamer, and in this video I'm going to be discussing the Nintendo NX and its possible outcome in the gaming industry, and give you my thoughts and opinions on what Nintendo should and should not do when releasing this platform. This next console that they are getting ready to announce is going to affect them very negatively or very positively, and so it's very important that Nintendo does this right. Having their current console, the Wii U, be such a failure, they can't afford to have a repeat of that. First, let's start off with what we know so far. We know it's coming out either in 2016 or 2017. Nintendo, as everyone can notice, is already slowly shifting people's interests onto this new platform. Iwata stated last year that they are in fact working on new hardware codenamed NX, and we'll talk about it more in 2016. We also know it will be a dedicated gaming platform with a whole new concept, so yes, the console will most likely have a special Nintendo gimmick, which I personally don't mind. Nintendo has always been very good at keeping themselves differentiated from the other console developers, having the say-so that you can only do this on their console, which is a big selling point, at least with the Wii it was. So to sum it up, we don't know much, which is typical for Nintendo to only give out tiny shards of their new hardware projects until they are ready to announce it. And let's hope when they do announce it, the NX is in fact an adequate product. So we don't know anything about the hardware power or specifications of the NX's internals, but in a recent patent from Nintendo, a diagram shows that it will not have an optical drive. Now, we don't know what this patent is for exactly, but we can assume it could possibly be for the NX. From this, speculation has risen that the NX will either be a fully digital console, which I don't agree with, and I honestly don't think Nintendo would choose to go that route, or that Nintendo might possibly be bringing back cartridges. Now, that wouldn't be half a bad idea, assuming Nintendo would use some sort of SD card to hold their games on. Unfortunately, not anything like the beautiful N64 cartridges. Using cartridges might be cheaper than running Blu-ray discs, and it would even be more cost-efficient due to the fact that they wouldn't have to produce any optical drives for this platform. But we can only hope that Nintendo takes this idea and implements it into the NX. Going fully digital would not be smart for Nintendo. It would probably get a lot of consumers not to purchase, knowing that not everyone has access to an internet connection, and a lot of their fans that like to collect physical copies of games, like myself, would debate on buying it or not. I'd still buy it either way. I buy Nintendo consoles because they never fail to produce amazing first-party software, digital or not, but I know a lot of you would be disappointed with that concept. Another patent that recently has been found from Nintendo is another gamepad-looking device with only 2 action buttons instead of 4, kind of like the NES controller, with only circle pads and no analog sticks, and on the back there are scrollable L and R buttons. Now, we don't know if this is in fact the controller for the NX, but why else would Nintendo be patenting this? It could possibly be the design for their new handheld device. A lot of people think that Nintendo is planning on releasing a new mobile gaming system along with the NX, implying that we will have a home NX system and a portable one as well. With this idea, some articles are saying that we will be able to stream our games to this handheld system like we could on the Wii U gamepad, but this time around, be able to take it anywhere and not have a limited range using some type of cloud-based service. I personally don't see this happening. I do think Nintendo is revealing a new handheld along with the NX next year, but I don't think they will fuse together. They will be separate just like the Wii U and 3DS. Going back to the patent, I wouldn't mind another primary controller with a touchscreen. Nintendo made the gamepad make games very entertaining and have a different feel to them, and it just felt very natural. I really enjoyed using it on the Zelda minigame in Nintendo Land, and using it on Wind Waker HD was phenomenal. The only thing I can complain about is the design and quality. The screen was a bit small and the resolution could have been better than 480p. The overall design was a bit bulky, but nonetheless very comfortable. So if they do go with another touchscreen controller, hopefully the design and quality is a bit better and at least includes a 720p display. The scrollable L and R buttons I think would give games interesting gameplay, and I'm excited to see what Nintendo could do with those. On the other hand though, not everyone cared for the gamepad, so I think it would be a good idea if Nintendo included a standard controller in the box with the NX and not make us buy one separately. Or maybe even give us an option. We could purchase a console with a standard controller only, or the bundle that included the new gamepad. I don't know, I just think forcing the touchscreen on consumers is a bit unfair. For instance, with the Xbox One, we had a choice on getting the console with or without the Kinect. I just think Nintendo should give us some options on launch day for the NX. Everyone has different opinions, so options will provide more sales. Moving on from that, let's discuss the hardware specs and power of the NX. So like I said, we know absolutely nothing when it comes to the specs of the NX. So for those who are already saying it's not as powerful as the PS4 and Xbox One, please tell me where you're getting your information from. Please, I really want to know. Assuming you work for Nintendo and know all about this next console, please fill us in. You must know the exact hardware specifications, including the amount of central processing cores and threads, the amount of RAM and clock speed, along with the amount of flash memory and storage. I really dislike Nintendo haters out there, but I try my best to ignore them. We have some evidence that supports the fact that the NX will be up to par with the PS4's hardware specs. Recently, Square Enix confirmed that Dragon Quest XI will be coming out for the PS4 and Nintendo's next console. The interesting thing about this is that Dragon Quest XI alone will be running on Unreal Engine 4 on the PS4, meaning the NX can handle Unreal Engine 4. So with that, it looks like the NX will in fact have near or the same capabilities as the PS4 and Xbox One graphically speaking. Another interesting thing about Dragon Quest XI being confirmed for the NX is that the game is releasing in late 2016, which could possibly point to a 2016 release for the NX, and that seems reasonable. Nintendo's average lifespan for a console is 4 to 5 years, excluding the Wii. The Wii lasted 6 years because it did fucking awesome in sales, and Nintendo had no reason to push out another console at the 5-year mark. All the way back to the NES to the GameCube, each console lasted about 4 to 5 years. The Wii U will be 4 years old next year, so it wouldn't be a surprise if the NX gets released holiday season 2016. Going back to the hardware specs, the NX has to compete with the Xbox One and PS4 in order for it to be successful. Nintendo can't keep being a whole generation behind in technology. Why would someone purchase a system that has the same specs as a device that was released 4 years ago? The NX needs to run x86 and perform as well as the current gen consoles. Nintendo is entering the 9th generation of gaming while Microsoft and Sony are still in midterm of the 8th. This is a perfect opportunity for Nintendo to get back on their feet and get back in the quote-unquote console war. We won't be seeing a PS5 or the next Xbox for at least another 4 to 5 years. So if Nintendo releases the NX with proper specs and adequate online infrastructure, third-party support, and great launch titles in 2016, Nintendo would be set. The NX would start off great, and it would definitely be a successful platform and could last 4 to 5 years before Microsoft and Sony leapfrog them again. With the NX running x86 with current gen specs, this will definitely gain back Nintendo their third-party support, which will bring back hardcore gamers, which will sell the system. It's really just a huge chain reaction of positive outcomes for Nintendo. And along with the proper specs, a good online service for the NX is mandatory, including private party chat, an organized community, a working invite system, an achievement system, cloud saving, and all that good stuff like Xbox Live and Sony's Plus network has. I wouldn't even mind paying for a service like that, like a small service fee. You pay for what you get. Nintendo needs to modernize their image. The last thing I mentioned they need, and honestly this is the most important part for the NX to have a successful launch, great launch titles. I can't emphasize that enough, including first and third party, and again, Nintendo has the perfect opportunity to do this. Right now, the Wii U is suffering from lack of software. Games are getting delayed over and over, and also important titles haven't even been announced yet, including a Metroid, a real Animal Crossing, a 3D Super Mario, and Pikmin 4. That was announced, but not for Wii U specifically. So why haven't we seen any of these games? Hopefully because Nintendo is saving all these titles for the launch of the NX. It would be perfect. This year for the Wii U, we got Super Mario Maker, Yoshi's Woolly World, and this holiday we're getting Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. But for next year, Wii U has nothing lined up besides Star Fox Zero and possibly Zelda U, which would make sense in being the Wii U's last year. Nintendo could finish up with the Wii U with those last two big titles and do a smooth transition into the NX. I'm going to be talking about Zelda U in another video, but seeing how many delays it's getting, how Nintendo has stopped showing footage of it, and how they haven't even given us the year it will be released, it seems like it's going to get the Twilight Princess treatment and be a split release for the Wii U and NX. This would be a very smart idea on Nintendo's behalf. It would be a major console seller for the NX, and people that invested in the Wii U could still play it. So what are my overall thoughts on the NX? I think Nintendo will be smarter about this platform. I think they will use what they learned from the mistakes on the Wii U and embrace that knowledge, putting it towards the NX. All in all, I think the NX is going to be what the Wii U should have been. The Wii U isn't a terrible system by no means. It has great content and I love the gamepad. It just wasn't announced or marketed correctly, and it wasn't enough to compete with the other consoles. And this is why it had no third-party support. It was too much of a gamble for anyone to invest in. But it's not game over for Nintendo if the NX is released in 2016. If it's a 2017 console, I don't see how they could drag out the Wii U that long. The console is going to struggle next year as it is, and it would throw off everything that I mentioned earlier. They have to release it next year. Just like the NX has to have all the things I mentioned earlier in this video, including proper hardware specs, third-party support, and online infrastructure, and great launch titles. With all those things included with this launch of their new system, Nintendo will once again be in harmony. Heck, if Nintendo has third-party support along with their first-party games, they would dominate the console war. Disagree with me, argue that point, I don't care. Nintendo would be at the top if that happens. Nintendo survives just off first-party software. That's pretty impressive if you think about it. Sony and Microsoft have very few exclusive first-party titles, so let that sink in before you disagree with me. The last thing I want to mention is Nintendo's new president, Tatsumi Kimishima, effective as of September 16th. Earlier this year, he stated in an interview that he knew the Wii U would be a failure before they even announced the console. He stated that it was too familiar to the Wii and would not be successful. And he was absolutely correct. So with that said, maybe Nintendo's ways are going to drastically change having this new president leading the company. We can only hope. So what do you guys think about the NX? What features do you want it to include? How do you feel about a new console on the horizon for Nintendo at this point? Leave your comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe for more content and discussions on the NX. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, dislike it if you hated it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.